We take time this evening to celebrate a young African American young adult. She's young, gifted, and Black. Her journey tonight on Sunday Evening with Reverend Sue.
Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And now, here's Reverend Sue.
Soul, God is in control. I got Satan on my trail, but I'm singing all is well. He's attacking every day, but I'm watching while I pray. No matter the attack, I won't turn back.
Good evening, and how are you today? I'm excited again. I'm always excited because I really appreciate all of our guests and people taking the time to come in to share their knowledge with us. And it's just a blessing to have this opportunity. And today we have a young adult who has been on the fire for a long time. We have focused on her way back a few years ago. We got involved with her, contacted her, and she's been our friend forever. So now she's back. She took time to be with us. But I'm gonna give you a little bit about her bio now. She has from a cornfield view to Atlanta skylines view. Eternity, better known as Eternity, is a faithful child of God, the Most High, who strive to put into practice everything learned from testimony experience to reading the Bible, writing poetry, and she's a musician. Spiritual gifts, she has many, and that sometimes God gives us more than one. You know that, and so. Her favorite quote, that God accuracy depicts the message she hopes is received by all who experience her artistic vibes. And she has a unique mother, very creative. And she has, unique papa, calling him Papa, love her. Young people said to the moon and back. I think it's beyond the moon. And so her brothers and her relatives are so special to her, and she's special to them as well. I want you to go online and read more about her because there's a lot of things going on with her. But when we talked the first time on Sunday Evening with Reverend Sue a while back, I realized that she's a true advocate for social justice. And she organized the first Black Lives Matter in her hometown. She was 17 years old. And she brought the city together, the city meaning the police department, as well as the people within this city, to sit down at the table and say, listen, these are some issues that we need to talk about. These are some things that we need to not overlook. She did this at 17 years old. Naria Eternity Mitchell. And I've always been very curious about Eternity, her middle name, and she likes to go as Eternity. She's a unique person. She's an organizer. She's concerned about people. And that includes people who do vote and don't vote. So she pushed very hard for people who are not voting. And during one of those campaigns that she had in her hometown, she managed to bring people together, young people who never voted before, and they voted. And she also managed to bring young people together who actually had voted, but for some reason they became complacent for whatever reason, and they voted. That's who we have today. So I don't know, I want to change your middle name. Eternity. I'm going to call you that. You are now attending Clark University in Atlanta. And the last time I talked to you, you were in high school. So now it's your second year at Clark University in Atlanta, Georgia. I can understand why you said a cornfield. and the Sky View. I'm a Georgia person myself, so I appreciate the cornfield and the Sky View. It's been tough the last 2 years. So what have you been doing at Clark University from your hometown where everybody in the world knew you, and now you're at this university in Atlanta, Georgia? What are you really doing in Atlanta, Georgia? At changing Clark University and changing Atlanta, Georgia, and changing the state itself? That could be changed a little bit, but we're not going to talk politics today. Maybe not. But what are you doing? What are you doing in reference to the pandemic? How has that affected your life as a young adult?
Well, thank you, Reverend Sue, first of all, for having me. It's a blessing to be able to come back with you all. And really, I asked myself that question a few weeks ago, and I was looking up in the sky, and I'm like, what is a small town girl doing in this big old city? And it's truly God. It's truly God is the only answer. Coming here from the pandemic was hard for me. It has been a process because during the pandemic, during being home for all those months in my room by myself, when I started to go out into society, when I started to go back out into the world, when things were opening up, I noticed that I had developed some type of social anxiety. And so being around large groups of people in particular situations makes me anxious sometimes. And so coming here to begin with was a blessing. I didn't have the funds that I thought that I needed to get here. And I kept reaching out to the school, to our illustrious Clark Atlanta University. And a week before we got here, I was praying about it, and I was praying about it the entire summer. And God had told me that it was already handled. And so a week before we were supposed to be financially enrolled, the Lord had blessed me with a scholarship opportunity called the First Generation Coca-Cola Scholarship that basically pays for all 4 years of school. And so I applied for that on a Friday evening, turned it in 2 minutes before it was due. And Saturday evening, I woke up at 3:00 in the morning that Sunday, actually, and saw the email that I had got the scholarship for $24,000 a year. And so it basically pays for my whole school, and that's nothing but a blessing. And that's how I got here. And since being here, it has been just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love my school. I love my school. I love the AUC. There's no place like the AUC in the entire world. Just 3 illustrious colleges, HBCU, historically Black college and universities right here. We have Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, and Spelman College right here in the heart of Atlanta. And it has been a blessing. God has just continued to bring people into my corner that are God-fearing and that are driven towards the purpose that God has for their lives. For the first week, God allowed me to be involved in a talent show. And little did I know that was really a seed for ministry that he was calling me into, and that I had been running away from. And running away from God is tiring. Running away from your calling is tiring. And I got too tired to run. And so, excuse me. To our chaplain, one of our student leaders, we have an organization called CAUSE, which is Clark Atlanta University Soul Experience, and it's chapel services on campus, also with a lot of community service projects around the city and on campus. And so that week after the talent show, one of the leaders of the group had contacted our chaplain and told her about me. And they said, there's this girl, her name is Eternity, and I really think that she would be helpful for our chapel service. And so I got an email a few days after the talent show from our chaplain, And, she asked me if we had met, and we had seen each other around campus, but not formally met. And so we had a conversation, and I prayed about it before I went. And I said, Lord, like, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. And that has truly been my prayer since I got on campus, since before I got on campus till this day, because the Lord, he keeps giving assignments. And I feel like we have to begin to look at life. I was just telling my friend this yesterday, that we have to begin looking at life as assignments that we plan to pass, instead of just looking at it as opportunities, because assignment. And so he continues to give assignments. He's allowed me to minister almost every week in music in our chapel services, along with officially becoming a cause leader of our illustrious university. I'm a part of the Isabella T. Jenkins Honors Program here at Clark Atlanta University, as well, a part of the university choir. And I've had different opportunities to minister in music, including our homecoming celebration and our Panthers Best this past Sunday, and a few other places. And I'm actually ministering tomorrow evening at our coronation ceremony for our royal.
So Lord, you are busy. You are very busy. You are real busy. So I really feel guilty now. You taking some time with us to talk about what you're doing, because you are so busy. But that's who you are. That's who you are. You've always been that way since the time that we start talking to you. So tell me a little bit about your music that you have now. I know that you write, but you have an album that you published already since you've been on campus. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I actually have an EP that's out. It's called Sunshine, and it's on all platforms. And that was actually released in April 7th, I believe, maybe to be exact. I could be incorrect, but I believe it was April. And Sunshine is dedicated to a character trait of mine that, at one time would act as if everything was okay, but still had emotional buildup, still had anxiety, still had things in the mental that were building up. And so I truly dedicate that EP to the mental health community, because, oftentimes we go about our day and we put on this mask, we put on this smile. Under that smile, it is a lot of hurt, a lot of built up things we haven't talked about. And so that is out right now. And from that, the Lord continues to give me songs. I told my mom that I didn't want to drop an album again or for like a few years, because I'm like, that was a lot of work. I'm gonna just drop some singles. And the Lord was like, no, I'm gonna give you an album. So he's giving me an album that is in the works right now, with a lot of happy, upbeat type of music. My album that's out, my EP that's out right now, are a lot of like slow tunes, mellow tunes, but this one is a lot of happy, because it's rooting from a happy place, from a joyous place, instead of from a hurtful place. So I'm excited to see what the Lord is doing with that as well. So
I like that when you say, because from a happy place, and that is, people have happy and people have darkness or sad places, but it goes back to with young adults, where the mental health disorder, anxiety, depression, and ADHD, and bipolar disorder, eating disorder, is real now during the pandemic. So with your music coming, which is how God has put that in your life now, making sure that, okay, so you have another level. This is some of the things that will help young adults as well, that, your testimony as well, the scholarship came, everything fell in place. Now you have your music is out there, and listen to some of your music. We have so many. So and I'm happy to know that you are focusing on religion as far as your major is concerned. When you talk about religion, when I'm talking about religion with young adults, I'm talking about young adults, college age, but still young adult, 18 to 25 maybe. There have been some articles and research that young adults are wrestling with. I wouldn't even say wrestling, becoming atheists. They are also wrestling with the whole definition or the meaning behind religion and spirituality. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And so I feel like I've noticed that particularly in my intro to religion class with our Dr. Philip Dunstan, he talked about in our very first class, and he was like, your generation, talking to the entire class, your generation is very big on, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. And originally I felt like he was talking to me because I used to be one of those individuals that would reject the fact of religion, not believing that we have to be religious in order to have a relationship with God, not realizing that the true definition of religion is a way of life. In many different countries, there's no word for religion. It's literally their way of life. It's how they live. It's their culture. And so it's not a separation. And I feel like in modern day America, particularly from my perspective, has separated religion and life. And so, like, oh, you go to church on Sunday, you go to church on Wednesday, you read your Bible this time, you do sermon prep from Wednesday to Sunday, but other days, that's just life.
Yeah.
That's not what religion is. Religion is truly a way of life. How your morals, what do you stand on? And so I feel like in regards to my mental health personally, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Lord. I know that. That's my testimony. And I noticed that the mustard seed of faith that God allows us to have, it's not going to stay that mustard seed forever. It's going to grow, and it's going to grow into a tree, and it's going to grow in order to share a mustard seed with somebody else. And then they can grow and then share a mustard seed with somebody else. And it's a chain reaction. It's a chain reaction. Like, for example, the very first week, that same talent show that I was blessed to be a part of, somebody just told me this past Sunday that the testimony that God allowed to share through me was also their testimony, that they didn't know how they were going to get back on campus. During the pandemic, some things had went on, and they felt like that they were running from God. Got back on campus, how God was going to do it, but he did it. And now they have a full ride scholarship here to Clark Atlanta University. And I would have never known that. And that him telling me that boosted a mustard seed of faith in me that I needed at that time, in that moment, right now, because, it's not easy to have faith, and it's not easy to be faithful. It's not easy to have a way of life that truly depends on God, but it is worthwhile. And so I believe that our way of life is a religion, like we religiously brush our teeth, we religiously, do certain things. And so I think that my generation has rejected the structure that has been put in front of us in religion. And so there are certain denominations that, we may have grown up in Christian faiths that, people don't agree with for their own reasons. They were looked at a certain way in the church that they went to because of what they wore, or if they were they are questions that they had for the church and for religion, and they weren't answered by other people. People get frustrated. They want answers to their questions, and especially in concern of religion, especially if that's the way that they are supposed to live, if that's their way of life, they want to know why. And so I think that's a big thing when it comes to why many people in my generation are turning away from it, because they have so many questions that aren't being answered. But I think it also comes to the fact that I realize that all of my questions are not going to be answered, and that's okay with me, because if they were all answered, what would God be for? What would the higher power, as some refer?
We're still searching, and that's why I think it's important to have powerful Bible studies. You constantly maintaining, obtaining knowledge of God, the Word of God. You can't just take it all in at one time. It's every single day you find a new word like religion and what is religion and what is spirituality. And then you break it down and you get into the word of God. I think this is just, to me, the timing for you is so critical being a young adult, because when I hear that young adults becoming atheists, or young adults are now wrestling with, well, I'm not allowed to ask questions because young adults are part of if it's a church or religious organization, you're part of that. And by your knowledge that you're obtaining, you can pass that on to others. It's okay to ask questions. That's when you study the word of God, there are questions. There are roadblocks. Then that you go back and say, wait a moment, this said this, so why, and this said that. So let me do some more. Let me do some additional study. Let me go ask the professor. Let me go ask the Sunday school teacher. Let me go ask Eternity what she feel about it. That's where I think that's where you fit it in now, is that we have to be very, very sensitive and very cautious when you hear that more young adults are turning to becoming atheists. That's how Satan works. Satan wants us to be atheists. Satan does not want us to believe in God. So we need more of you out there to speak to the young adults and say, you know what, this is what it is. And this is how we should do it. It's okay to ask questions. If you don't get anything else out of this show today, it's okay to ask questions. With your music, you say you was on a high note, really high note, right? Were you thinking about all the blessings that you receive and how great God is and how you now at the university? Did some of those things come into mind? Just this part of your life, this period in your life, this is so obvious, and you want to testify, and not only just speaking at various conferences or speaking on social media, but you also speaking through your music.
Absolutely. I'm so appreciative because, I prayed. My mom would always ask me, like, why you should make a happy song. She would tell me, like, you should make a happy song, because she noticed that, like, most of my songs were like very mellow, and not that they were not good, although like she could understand that they rooted from a place of hard emotion. And she was like, you should make like an upbeat song, like a happy song. And I think at the time it didn't resonate with me because I was not very happy. And so now being able to truly notice and to truly have joy, to notice that joy is everlasting, happiness is temporary. And I was on the phone with my mother last evening, and I had told her that before, because she would say, I want to be happy. And I'm like, Mom, like, happiness is temporary, joy is everlasting. And last night we were on the phone and I said something, like, oh, you should do something that makes you happy. And she was like, no, happy is temporary. And she started laughing. And I'm like, oh, she was really listening. And so it's a blessing, because joy truly is everlasting, and joy is also a choice. Like, sometimes we have to wake up and say, I choose joy today. I don't care what's going to happen, or let me rephrase. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to try to tempt me today. I don't know what God is going to test me with today, but I choose to be joyful. I choose joy. And so God literally will give me songs. Having anxiety is a process. And so God will literally give me songs sometimes just to sing my way out of an anxiety attack. And it doesn't even need to be like recorded. Like, it may not ever be like, released on different platforms. It's just for me in that moment. And I've noticed that, and I've accepted that. And it's a process as well. Yet it's beautiful because, I don't even know how many songs are going to be on this new album. I don't know. I just know that the Lord is at work, and I'm thankful, and truly just wanting to be able to testify from a place of joy, and being thankful that I am in a place of joy, in a place that even when there are days where I may not feel as joyful, or there are days that I may not choose to be joyful, knowing that I can choose that, it would definitely be reflected in my music. So
you are an entertainer. You're an activist, definitely an activist and an entertainer. Where do you hope to be, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, I think one thing that I really want to accomplish is getting out of the entertainment. I don't want anything that I do to put emphasis on me. I need it to be emphasis on God. And so, and I noticed that the Lord He's shown me different spiritual gifts that I have, and one of them being exhortation. And when I found that out, I was like, Lord, what does that even mean? It really means, like inviting people into the spirit, inviting people into, the spiritual realm. And so in that, I noticed that, anything that I do, it's not me pulling the strings. It's not me in control. And I don't want to be in control, and I don't want the attention. I truly get anxious sometimes when I receive like certain, even as small as or as different as, if I'm ministering in a poetry jam like this past Friday, I believe so, my friends came to support me, and one of them had told me they weren't going to be there, and they wound up coming. And then afterwards, like they were all waiting on me, and I'm like, okay, I have to get myself together before I see them, even though they're my friends. It was like the anxious thoughts started to come, and in that, I think it's truly because I know that it's not me who's supposed to get the glory in anything that I'm doing. And so I think one thing that I really want to accomplish is getting out of the entertainment and more focusing on the ministry. And like another example, this past Sunday in our Panthers Best celebration, a part of our homecoming celebration, I tried my best to encourage everyone who was involved that, this that we're doing right now, we have to take it serious because it's a ministry. It's not a performance. Like when you do something for God, it's ministry. It's not, oh, like we did good today. No, like the Lord was here, Mm-hmm. And so that's really one thing. And as far as activists, I'm truly praying about it and seeing where the Lord is leading in that field, because I notice that there are some things that I'm learning, and I'm truly thankful to be to have wisdom in the knowledge of voting, and to have wisdom in the discernment aspect of that, because sometimes I feel like that I don't have discernment, and I don't know like people's true intentions, but I realize that that's where that gives way for God to step in and show me and strengthen me in that way, and He be the strength. And so I helped a few of my friends in campaign week originally for our SGA, like our Mr. Freshman is one of my friends, Kiavante Mallard, along with our Miss Freshman. She is one of my friends as well that I helped with her campaign. As far as our vice president, Ariana, and our president, Jaden. And so I helped in all these beautiful campaigns. And, I just tried to encourage them, like, have you eaten today? Have you drunk some water today? Even if it wasn't like always posting the flyers, because I don't like to be on social media more than needed. And so, just trying to make sure that we all focus on our wellness before campaign. Even with myself this week campaigning for Murner Hall Queen, I'm trying to remind myself today is actually Wellness Wednesday. And so reminding myself to be cognizant of things that my body needs in the of trying to earn votes. So yeah.
That's the thing about having so many gifts that God give, many gifts to some people, and then sometimes we just have that one gift. But I'm thinking about an activist, and we call it the activist, but in a sense, it's ministry. It's really ministry. Or you think about entertainment, it's like you're doing music, you're putting music there. Music is songs of reference in Revelation. So you take those words and helping other people as a testimony to other people. So I think the way you're thinking now, it would keep you humble. You will always keep you humble. And I think that's the best way to go. Other people see you and they know, eternity. They know you when you go to social media. They know you at the university. They know you're probably in Atlanta, Georgia by now. They knew you in your hometown, but you're still humble. And that's the beautiful thing about you. So I think that's there. It's going to always be there as long as you have God in your heart. So do the music, do the preaching, do all these things that God called you to do, because it goes right back to who you are, who God has made you to be. So I like that. Do you have goals bigger than personal achievement you hope to pursue?
Goals. I've recently gotten into goal setting because, I would tell my friends, like, I kind of stopped setting goals because I noticed that, it's going to be whatever the Lord wants it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the aspect of the little girl in me still fighting for that hope.
Mm-hmm.
That was once lost, in a sense. And so I'm truly trying my best to be hopeful, and being able to write things out. The Lord has always given me words to write out, and given me, words on my head. And, before I started to write poetry, I would literally just write. I didn't call it poetry, in a sense. And now I notice that many times when I write, it's when I'm reading the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
or when the Lord just gives me a word and I just need to jot it down, or writing out visions of different aspects of my life. Like friendships and relationships and ministry. Like what does that look like? What do I see? How is the Lord presenting that to me in the future and right now? And so I think that my goal right now is to not only stay focused in the now, but have a clear view of the now, so I can have a clear view for the vision, and being able to write it down and not being scared about it changing, because it's going to change. God is going to, he's going to niche some things. So really just focusing on the vision and being thankful to have it clear. So that's a big goal for me right now.
And we're listening to Eternity, Miss Show. 3 things, and we're gonna close. 3 things will come to your mind that you can leave for our young adults.
Okay. One is a quote that my grandfather told me when I first started high school. And I went to an early college high school, and I was afraid, and I was like, Papa, like, I don't really know if I could do this. I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be. It was nothing but the enemy trying to bring doubt into a situation that God had already planted me into.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, like, no, that's not what we're going to do. Anything worthwhile is not easy. And that has truly been a quote in my heart since he said it to me. I have the quote hanging on my wall. I look at it. I try my best to look at it as much as possible. And it's truly allowing me to realize and allowing me to remember that, life is not easy. And how I edited it in my head is that, anything worthwhile is not easy. Life must be worthwhile, because it's not easy at all to keep going, to live, to truly, have a fulfillment of life. It's not an easy thing, but it's worthwhile. Another thing that I would say, which is biggest in my heart, trust God. And trusting God is also not an easy thing to do. Yet if it was easy, why would the path be narrow? The Bible says that, the path is narrow. And so knowing and having confidence in the Lord, to be able to stay on that narrow way and not get into the habit of swaying right. Even though if we do sway right, and if we do develop those habits, the Lord will turn us around and put us on the path that he has for us. Having that discipline to trust in God, and having that discipline to actively acting on the fact that it's not in your control. It's just not in your control.
Mm-hmm.
And noticing that that's a lovely thing, that it's not in our control, because if it was, it would be a mess. And thirdly, I would say that education is important. And I think that that's something that our grandparents and that our elder family members will tell us all the time. And when we're younger, we're like, okay, like, yeah, education is important, education is important. Although it truly is important. Like, there were times where I told my mother I visited one college in the 5th grade, and it was the first college I ever visited in my hometown, not an HBCU, not anything close to an HBCU. And I was like, Mom, like, if that was college, I don't want to go to college. Like, I was totally turned off by the whole situation, but truly have an open mind to what God has for you, because, you know, it wasn't until I got to 8th grade where I even knew about HBCUs. And I thought that I was specifically going to one school, yet that is not, it's not even amounted to what God is doing for me right here. And so having an open mind to education and learning that every day is a day to educate yourself, whether it's reading a book, whether it's reading a magazine, whether it's learning breathing techniques, it doesn't necessarily have to come from an institution. It's the educating ourselves that, you know, can happen anywhere. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. And I like the part where educate, you know, continue to improve yourself, whether it's, like you said, reading a book, learn how to breathe, the correct way to breathe, especially during this time of our lives. So thank you so much. Your mom, we talked about your mom before, and she's definitely a great mother, great woman. Miss Green is fantastic, and say hi to her as well. So we're going to close now. To our listeners, thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and continue to tune in, subscribe, as well as take note of what we're doing with Sunday Evening with Reverend Sue. We bring information, so many different ways of doing it. We don't have no special topic that we become expert in. We bring the experts in to talk about various things that are happening in our lives on a daily basis. So thank you so much for listening to Sunday Evening with Reverend Sue.